Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Tuesday, March 29th. Let's talk ethics, cleaner government. David Couch, a Little Rock lawyer who's a veteran of several efforts to improve the state's ethics laws, has sent a proposal for a proposed constitutional amendment to Attorney General Leslie Rutledge to approve as to form. That'll take some time. But it's some really good news on the ethics front. It would lower the campaign limit on individual contributions to campaigns to $1,500. It would ban corporate contributions to PACs. It would require disclosure of independent expenditures in elections. Corporations could spend money on elections, but they'd have to say where the money was coming from on some of these, until now, secret ads that are run against political candidates. It would end the free wining and dining and free trips that legislators have continued to accept from lobbyists, even though we thought we'd outlawed that in 2014. The problem was that amendment allowed the legislature to make amendments, and they've made amendments that have weakened it considerably. This amendment David Couch has drawn up would prohibit the legislature from amending the amendment. That could only be done by the people. The people need to rule in Arkansas. Clearly, we can't trust the legislature to do it. This is going to be fun to watch develop. The special interests will hate this idea, but they're going to have a hard time coming up with an excuse for why clean government's a bad idea. We shall see. They're pretty good at that sometimes. There was a press conference this morning at the governor's office. He paid tribute to the Arkansas Biosciences Foundation Institute, which has received money every year from Arkansas's $60 million or so it receives in the tobacco lawsuit settlement money since 1999, and then uses it to leverage with other money to do important research in Arkansas. It's produced 34 patents, hundreds of articles. Thousands of people have been employed doing good work in the sciences. The thing to remember about this is that as the Arkansas budget grows tight, and it will grow tight because Republicans there want to cut government, they want to cut taxes, they want to cut Obamacare, they don't want to grow government. We're already looking at a budget that's been cut by 1% for next year to pay for a tax cut for the wealthy. It becomes important that this money still be devoted to fighting tobacco and promoting health causes. It's going to be tempting for legislators to take this money and use it for something else. I hope the reminder that it's doing a lot of good will discourage them from that. The Atlantic, the prestigious national magazine, has joined the publicity about the bad idea to build a 10-lane freeway through the center of Little Rock. They say it's damaging to cities. They say a lot of cities have risen up with better ideas for transportation policy. It's a good read. Take a look at it. It's an important part of the debate here. Speaking of good reading, Ernest Dumas has written a column for this week's Arkansas Times, which I can boil down to its essence. You may remember that voters increased the minimum wage in Arkansas in 2014. It's been increased twice thanks to that voter amendment. Business people said this would wreck the economy. It'd be terrible for business to raise the minimum wage. Well, guess what? Arkansas now has a historic low unemployment rate. Lowest it's ever been, only 4%, and we're doing much better than the rest of the country. Doesn't look like the minimum wage hurt us very much. Bruce Pennington, the former Saline County Sheriff, entered a negotiated plea this morning in Saline County Circuit Court. The charges he'd abused the public trust by dropping a speeding ticket in return for some home improvements in his kitchen, and also converted some sheriff's office money to his own use. He got an additional 8-month state sentence to a 1-year federal charge that he'd already pleaded guilty to, but he's going to get to serve those sentences concurrently. A new report out from the Southern Education Foundation says, not much to my surprise, that private schools, particularly in the South, are disproportionately white. Some of that, of course, is economics. Some of them were created to be segregation academies. The interesting thing is that in the 19 states that have set up voucher and tax credit programs to use public money to let people go to private schools, those enrollments also have been predominantly white. Arkansas so far has not adopted one of those programs, though legislators have tried. It's important to watch. It's one thing to let people pay for their own private education. It's another for the state to subsidize segregated education. Of course, we're doing that now to a certain degree in charter schools anyway. And finally, on a lighter note, two items of interest from the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. Couple of events. This Saturday and Sunday, there's going to be a conference for atheists and humanists on campus, people who are fact and science-based, not necessarily motivated strictly by faith in what they do. It's going to be held in the Arkansas Union. I don't know if the Republican legislative contingent up there has gotten word of that yet or not. Perhaps they'll go by and be educated a little bit. Also, starting Friday, a firm that invented Skype has developed a robot. It's called an autonomous terrestrial zone, and it's a little wheeled vehicle that drives around on sidewalks and delivers sacks of groceries in the last mile of delivery from places like Walmart. It's going to be tested on the Fayetteville campus in the interest of coming up with new retail strategies for people like nearby Walmart. They say in England, where it's rolled over 1,200 miles of sidewalks, and most of the reactions have just been bemused smiles, and people have gotten their groceries. Do you think we could trust Americans to see a robot driving by with groceries and not try to nab a sack or two? That's one of the things presumably they'll find out in friendly Fayetteville. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.
You feel it in your heart. The spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR, we are Little Rock's team and Little Rock's University.